Good evening, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I want to warmly welcome us to today's edition of Inside the Arena, the very 10th edition of Inside the Arena. And today we have a very distinguished Nigerian who has served this country in many capacities and has left a lasting impression in the annals of history. He was president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers from 2000 to 2001. He has also served as the executive secretary of the National Lottery Trust Fund and has served also as the president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, CORE. Today, by the special grace of God, he is also the president of the Nigeria Olympic Committee. He's a recipient of the National Honor of Officer of the Order of the Niger. It's my pleasure to welcome you inside the arena as we usher in our guests for today, our very distinguished engineer doctor, HABU AHMED GUMEL. I remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. Oko. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you inside the arena.
Am I inside already?
You're very much inside. You have always been inside the arena because you're a sportsman. So almost all your entire life, you have always been inside the arena. So coming inside the arena today is not a new thing for you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's go straight to the question. Before we go straight, I want to inform you of the segments of this program. We have the first segment, which we call the direct free kick. You can see everything is tailored towards what you already are aware of. The direct free kick segment is when the host will direct all the questions to you. You will answer. Then after that, we go to the corner kick, where the participants will also have the opportunity to ask you questions. And then we now go to the extra time. The extra time is the time we give prizes to lucky winners. Today we are going to be having 3 lucky winners. And I want to inform you that the prize for today was sponsored by an engineer who is your fan. He is Engineer Bemigo, former chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Asaba branch. And we have 3 fantastic prizes today. One of them is a refrigerator. The first prize winner will be going home with a refrigerator. I can't lift it up here. And the next one is the gas cooker. And the third one is a beautiful laptop bag, all sponsored by Engineer Bemigo from Asaba branch. With that, we go straight to the question. People have been asking, when we released the notification for this program, many people have been asking, who is that man, HABU AHMED GUMEL? And for those who don't know you, can you tell us who is Engineer HABU AHMED GUMEL? Everything we need to know about you, your birth, your family background, and your education.
Well, before I go into that, you talk about extra time. I was thinking when you have a goalless draw, when it is 0-0 before you give extra time, is it? Is it not correct? You know, when
Yes,
you're having a football match and the both sides no score, then you give extra time. So what is that extra time?
The extra time is the time we allot for the prize giving.
Okay, that is the extra time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Then you made during the time you are making the introduction, you made mention about my national honor, the OON. correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, before I talk about myself, let me add again that just yesterday, I received another letter from Japan, from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, through the ambassador in Nigeria, that the Emperor of Japan has given me an award, Order of the Rising Sun Gold Base. And the award will be presented to me here in Nigeria. And because of my activity, my relationship with the Japanese authorities. So the order is a national honor from the Japanese government, but order given to me by the Emperor. So just to add, to say, I have the Nigerian one, now I'm having the Japanese one again. Just for you to know.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, sir. A big congratulations, and it's coming timely.
Thank you
just
very
a
much.
day before you came into the arena.
I just got the letter yesterday. And
congratulations, sir.
When the time comes for the presentation, you will be cordially invited.
Thank you very much, sir.
Now I
that would be a great honor.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, my name is Engineer HABU GUMEL, born 1st of April 1949 in a village called GUMEL in Jigawa State. I did my primary school, both junior and senior primary school in GUMEL. Then my secondary school, both in Wudil and in Kano, because we were together with Kano State that time, we were not separated. And then from there, I moved, I was recruited in an organization called NCR in Lagos. But before that, at our final year in the secondary school, which is a technical school at that time, the late Sardona of Sokoto, may God forgive him, was touring many schools. And during his tour, he used to indicate people who should go into the army, into the police, into the navy, and so on. And at that time, in our class, when the late Sardona came in, when he was choosing people, I was choosing to go for Air Force. But for one reason or the other, because of the employment I got in Lagos at that time, I decided to go to Lagos, which means if I joined the Air Force, by now I could have been a retired Air Vice Marshal. But I went to Lagos to join the company called National Cash Register. NCR is a German company. I worked with them for some time. After working, that was in 1968. 68 to 70, I was in Lagos. I worked with the company, and then from there, I was lucky to get a scholarship to go to then Soviet Union to go and study civil engineering. And I was there in Ukraine, which is unfortunately what is happening now, but I was there in Kyiv, that is the Ukraine, very beautiful, nice city. And at the Kyiv Civil Engineering Institute, that is where I did my first and second degree in that university. Then before finally, after the study, I came back to Nigeria in 1976, after spending 6 years in Ukraine. Then I was posted to Bauchi to do my NYSC, and I was, and while in Bauchi, I did my NYSC there. I was posted to Yankari Game Reserve. I was in charge of Yankari Game Reserve, which maybe some of you may know is a very beautiful, nice reserve. And I was in charge of so many activities. And after my NYSC, it was during that my NYSC period, while I was in Yankari Game Reserve, I fell in love with my late wife, may God forgive her. And that's where, after my NYSC, then I got married in Bauchi. And then after my NYSC, the Bauchi state government decided that there is no need for me to go back to my state, I should remain in Bauchi. And I remained in Bauchi. At the beginning, I was given the general manager of the Bauchi State Cooperative Division, where I was doing a lot of engineering job there, including direct labor, construction, and so many other things. Then it was after that, then I joined the World Bank project in Bauchi, Bauchi State Agricultural Development Program. I was there up to the level of Director of Engineering Services. I was dealing with the World Bank, so many international organizations. We're doing a lot of projects in engineering, roads, supply of water, and so many other things in Bauchi State, which was financed by the World Bank. It was during that period, then I got an appointment in the Federal Housing Authority as Deputy General Manager. Actually, I was to go to Washington to join the World Bank. I was even interviewed. But at that time, one of my friends, Colonel Umar, who was the military administrator of Kaduna State, was appointed the military administrator of the Federal Housing Authority. It was during the period when President Buhari was the military head of state. And he insisted that there is a need for me to go and work together with him. And he insisted, and that was the reason why I was not able to make it to go to Washington to join the World Bank. So I joined the Federal Housing Authority as a Deputy General Manager. I worked with him, and then while in FHA, I was there for about 13 years. I rose up to the level of Executive Director in charge of operations in Federal Housing Authority, where we did a lot of construction. We have housing estate in all over the country. And more so in Abuja, we started the construction of houses in Cuba. That's our first housing estate in Cuba. At that time, we were building the 2-bedroom houses and we were selling them at 20,000 naira each house at that time. And then from there, we did a lot of construction in Asokoro, we did in Kado, in Karu, and Lube, and then we started the construction in Guadalajara, which is one of the biggest housing estates in Africa, and that was during the late Abacha. Then from the Federal Housing Authority, I came back to the mainstream of service. That is, as a civil servant in the core civil service, I was transferred from Federal Housing Authority to the mainstream as a director. And it happened that at that time, the Civil Service Commission posted me to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development as Director of Facilities. So I was Director of Facilities in the ministry, and during that time, we were able to do the construction of the National Stadium. That was in 2002, 2003. You know, in 2003, we hosted the African Games. And I was deeply involved in the construction of the National Stadium, which was constructed by Julius Baja, and then the package B, the indoor hall by Buick, and then the Games Village by the Chinese company. So that's how we completed that edifice, which is now standing. And that's where people are now playing and enjoying themselves, playing all the facilities, the sports activities. And that's why we did the All African game at that time. Now, after I have been in the Federal Housing Authority for about 10 years. Then after that, I retired in 2009. I retired in 2009 as God habit. I was given an appointment by federal government as Executive Secretary, National Lottery Trust Fund. I was there for the 2 terms, that is 8 years. And during the period where I was in charge of collecting all the revenues from the lottery people on behalf of the federal government, and that amount of money, according to the Act, we're using it for intervention in sports, in education, in health, and other natural disasters. So we did a lot of projects, including distribution of sporting equipment to all the 36 states. So I toured all the 36 states to distribute sporting equipment to primary schools, selected primary schools. We distributed a lot of hospital equipment and so many other activities that we did during that period. Before finally I retire after my 2 terms, because it's 2 terms normally. Third term is not allowed, so I couldn't make it to do the third term because it's not allowed. So I did my 2 terms, and I successfully finished my 2 terms from the Executive Secretary. Now, the other part of it was my sporting career. I joined sport in 1986.
Before you go to your sporting career, I know we are going to come back to that sporting career because we have a lot of questions we would like to ask you on your sporting career. But there are some areas you mentioned which we want you to respond to. First, talking about your education in Kyiv, where you study civil engineering at the Civil Engineering Institute.
Yeah, Kyiv Civil Engineering Institute, yes.
Yeah, at that time, when you went to Kyiv, most Nigerians preferred UK universities. Why did you choose Kyiv?
Well, it is the federal government at that time that the scholarship, when you fill the scholarship, you choose 3 countries. And among the 3 countries I choose, I did not indicate Soviet Union. But when we come to the interview at that time in Lagos, they said they want, I even wanted to go for electronics that time, but they said they want many civil engineers, that the country at that time, they need a lot of civil engineers. And for that time, that was the offer that was given to me. And for that reason, because I'm anxious to go and further my education, I decided to accept the offer to the Soviet Union. And I was there in Moscow, and then from there, I was posted to Kyiv, and I was there in the Kyiv Civil Engineering. It's a very fantastic, excellent university. I enjoyed it. It is a very sound university, which is well known, which after now it exists. They had a very good, excellent professors from all over the world, not only the Russian, even from Israel and other parts of the world. So I had no regret whatsoever for going to the Kyiv Civil Engineering Institute, which was a very good institute. And that's how I was able to go to Soviet Union and to the Kyiv.
All right. Now, you also mentioned your role in FHA. You joined FHA in 1985 and you left in 1999, almost 14 years. Exactly. And you left as an executive director. And as the executive director, you oversaw the planning, coordination, and execution of the authority's housing projects. Exactly. Now, you also mentioned that you played a role in the conceptualization and implementation of Gwarinpa 2 housing estate, which many have also said, and which you also said is one of the biggest housing estate projects in Nigeria. Now, what I want to know is this: what were the major challenges of Gwarinpa 2 project? Then number 2 is looking at Gwarinpa estate today. Do you think that the vision of the federal government in embarking on such a massive housing project was actualized?
Well, it is true, it is actualized, because the intention at that time, when we started the housing program, before even moving into the Gwarinpa housing estate, late Jakande, may God forgive him, he was the Minister of Housing, Works and Housing that time. And we started with him from one city to another. He was trying to establish a housing system in this country, which wherever you are in the world, you can register and buy a house in your own state. It was after that, then we came to the period of late Abdul Karim Adisa, who was the Minister of Works that time, and the MD was Engineer Ibrahim Ali. And we actualized, we believe that there is a need to establish a very, because of the shortage of houses in Abuja then, that there is a need to establish that housing estate now called Gwarinpa. And we sat down, we held several meetings, we did the design, we did a lot of things, the budget, the financial situation and so on, and the planning and so on, and the number of housing estate, which is supposed to be there. And we got the approval of the president, later Abacha at that time, because he was the one who gave the approval to continue with the housing program. And even at that time, I remember we traveled to China to see some housing program and so many others still like that, to experience a lot of things. And it is because of this one now, we're able, after all our planning, design with all the professionals together, we're able to come out with a project called Gwarinpa Housing Estate. And we started the Gwarinpa Housing Estate, and the intention is that Gwarinpa Housing Estate is to continue from where we started it. It will continue along the Kubwa Road out to the Kubwa area, the Kubwa town. But unfortunately, we were able to stop where we stopped there. But later now, the private people continue to develop it, and now Gwarinpa has become one of the biggest states in Africa. And not just I mean, in Nigeria, but it's not just in Nigeria. If you go, I visited so many countries in Africa while I was in Federal Housing Authority, because by coincidence it happened that I was a board member of an organization called Shelter Africa, and Shelter Africa is based in Nairobi, Kenya, and it's like a mini African union, because all the African government, they have shares, and it's a big company where a country collect loan for housing and the why establish loan. I served that company for 13 years. I was representing Nigeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, Sao Tome and Gambia, 5 countries at that time. And because of the nature of the organization, during that period of 13 years, at least I have visited about 40 African countries. At the end of my tenure, even I was the chairman of the company in Nairobi for 4 years. So Guadalajara Housing Estate is a very laudable estate. We have achieved what we wanted to achieve, and it is there now, and it is now a proper housing estate, which is one of the best in this country as of now.
I asked, what was your major challenge?
Well, the major challenge at that time was finance. But we overcome it, because when we started the project, we're asking people to deposit. You want to buy the house, you come and deposit. And plus the deposit and the support we received from the government, we're able to succeed. That's one of the challenge. Okay. The issue of labor was always available in Abuja at that time. There are a lot of labor force that can help. And we had a lot of professionals in Federal Housing Authority.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Shelter is one of the most basic human needs. In fact, one of the policy goals of the sustainable development is the delivery of adequate housing. In Nigeria, as we all know, however, there is housing deficit. Over the years, the Nigerian government has at various times tried different housing policies and programs to address these housing problems. Some of these policies and programs did not see the light of the day. As a former executive director of the Federal Housing Authority, what are really the issues surrounding housing deficit in Nigeria, and what are the best solutions you can proffer to housing deficit in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. You know, at that time, the Act of the Federal Housing Authority, they are in 2 parts. One for the high income and one for the low income. The low income, the funding is supposed to be provided by the federal government to provide low income housing at a subsidized price. Like what I told you, when we started in Cuba, we are selling houses at 20,000 naira. The other for the high income, is where people will now have to deposit. You start the program and you continue collecting deposit, and with that deposit, you can be able to complete the house and hand over to the people. But unfortunately, in many occasions, due to budgetary allocation, financial situation, these houses were not able to be provided. And at that time, the private sector were not many enough to compare with the current situation now. The current situation at that time, there are many private sector, a lot of developers. The only difference is that they are building high income, which the low income people cannot afford. So the mass housing building, which the government is supposed to provide, unfortunately, much of it is not being provided. The government is trying, of course, but it's still not good enough. So the only thing, and for the high income, the developers believe if they will go for the mass housing, they will not make good profit for themselves. So that's why they continue to concentrate on the high income. But if the government can decide to bring out the issue of the mass housing back to a proper shape and provide this, a lot of people will will benefit from the housing scheme. So there is a need for the government and both the private sector, while the private sector are doing the high income, while there is a need for the government again to come back and continue with the mass housing, that is for the income, for the low income. I know the FCT has been provided land for mass housing, but unfortunately, much of the development is not there. So there is need for still government to have a proper, another established policy to come out and help for this mass housing. And then again, these houses are viable, many of them at places like Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Wari, and so on. There are some states, you go and build some houses, hardly you will get buyers. These are some of the problems. And people will not like to go to some state and invest their money. Federal Housing Authority has invested a lot of housing estate in many different parts of the state. But if you go there, you'll be surprised. Some of them are even empty. So the need in those particular cities like Abuja, Lagos, like what I say, Port Harcourt, and some other urban centers. So there is need for both the private sector and the government themselves to join hands together and ensure that more houses are being provided.
All right. Now let us take you back to sports. From FHA, you move to the Ministry of Sports. At the Ministry of Sports, you have mentioned Koja. You were Director of Facilities from 1999 to 2009. And within that period, interestingly, within that period, Nigeria hosted 3 major tournaments. The Under-20 World Cup in 1999, that's Nigeria 99, the Koja 2003, and the Under-17 World Cup in 2009. What role did you play? You've mentioned the role you played in Koja. What role did you play towards the success of these competitions?
Well, you see, first of all, before I talk about the competitions, I started my sporting career sometime in 1986 when I was in Federal Housing Authority. I became a member of the Nigerian Volleyball Federation, ordinary member. From there, I continued to second vice president, to first vice president. Finally, I became the president of the Nigerian Volleyball Federation. When I became the Nigerian Volleyball Federation, then after that, I became the treasurer of the Nigerian Olympic Committee. And then from there, finally, I became the president of the Nigerian Olympic Committee. I was elected in Yenagwa in Bayelsa in 2001, which is interestingly, that's where I started the Olympic movement. Now, during my career as the president of the Olympic Committee, that's where this 3 tournament, the game you are talking about, that took place. My role for the All-African game that took place here, number 1, I was the director of facilities in the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development, and I was in charge of the supervision together with my other colleagues. And I was in charge of processing all the payment to the companies, the supervision, because the depth of the construction was directly in my office. So I played a great role in the construction of the facilities. That is the stadium, the package A, the indoors, and all the games village, which later was sold to the public. And that was my contribution. And I was part of the organizing committee where we held several meetings. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar was the chairman of the organizing committee, with the head of the Koja, Dr. Ahmad Adamu, and so on. And that's how we were able to organize it with the BPE and so many other organizations, and with all the DSS, everybody concerned. So I played a great role there because of the supervision that I participated in and part of the organizing too. The other 2 tournaments of the football, you know, the NFF are responsible for the organizing of that game. Even though I played my own role too, but the NFF played the major role of the 2 football matches that you are talking about.
All right, let me also mention another one that you were part of. You were a member of the Abuja 2014 Commonwealth Game Bid Committee. Now, everyone thought Nigeria would win that hosting right, but it was awarded to Glasgow. In fact, the day it was announced, I saw the disappointment on the face of the former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, who led the Nigerian delegation to that draw. What really happened? What really happened, or what did we not get right that made the hosting right to be given to Glasgow? And also, what were the lessons learned?
Thank you very much for this very interesting question. I was deeply involved in the bidding system because of the chairman. I was the chairman of the technical committee. And General Yakubu Gowon was our chairman, plus some other members were all together. And we started the bidding. The bidding went fine. We presented, we have a very excellent document. We have all the facilities it takes, the ones that are already on the ground and the future ones that are going to be consulted if we're able to win the listen. Many of these Commonwealth countries, they came for inspection to Nigeria and they inspected the facility we have on the ground and the future one that we're going to construct. We gave a very excellent bid document. And again, is our chairman, General Yakubu Gowon, and us together, we toured a lot of Commonwealth countries to go and lobby, because it's a matter of lobby. You have to go and lobby many other countries so that they can be able to vote for you during the meeting where the selection will be done. I remember one of my experience. I traveled from Abuja. I flew down to London. From London, I was in Singapore. From Singapore, I was in Sydney. From Sydney, I flew to Auckland. Auckland, I finally landed in Samoa. That is down the oceanian side, because they had a general assembly there where many of the Commonwealth countries were there, and I was there to go and do the lobbying. Now, precise so that I don't take you for a long time, what happened was that the selection took place in Sri Lanka. We made a very excellent presentation. Everybody appreciated, and plus other people. But our setback was that at that time, India was hosting the Commonwealth Games in 2010. And unfortunately, they are not making good progress. People felt disappointed. India is a third world country. Nigeria is equally a third world country. So at that venue, the rumors that was going on that now India is not performing well, they're not sure whether they can make it. How can they now go and take this game now and give it another third world? And that was one of our setbacks. But our presentation was excellent, our bid was excellent. So they say, okay, the best thing they should do, that was the executive, and they go around, they say, okay, let's give it to Glasgow. So that Glasgow is a developing nation. When they finish, maybe before they can come back to Africa. And definitely the Commonwealth Games, they're seriously desperate to see that Africa hosts a Commonwealth game. Because as at now, the game is rotating within the three countries, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. That's how it is rotating. Now we are going to have it in Birmingham in United Kingdom, and then from there now it's going to Canada again, then it's going to Australia again. But what happened is that after we lost the bid, the executive of the Commonwealth game came and made presentation to late Eradua. He was president that time, may God forgive him. And they told us our own part of our own weakness. And at that time, after they made the presentation, the late President Eradua, may God forgive him, directed that we should continue to bid, that we are not at loss. We came back, we initiated the bidding process, but when at one reason or the other, we are not able to make it because of that. I don't want to say much about it, but the soon could not continue. So when they opened the countries to bid, South Africa contacted Nigeria whether we are going to bid again. But unfortunately, at that time, the government declined and said, we're no more going ahead. So South Africa now bidded, they won the hosting. Unfortunately, they could not host it due to some of their own political problem, and they declined. And then the hosting was not able to host in Africa. So you can see that it was not that we did not do well or the bidding was not done properly. It was just the circumstances we find ourselves. But up till now, if we indicate interest, I'm sure we're going to get it. Because just not long ago now, the hostel ride for 2026 is given to Victoria again in Australia because Nigeria has not indicated interest. So that's where we find ourselves.
All right. Okay. Now, you have been around in sports for quite some time. You said since the late 80s. Yes. You have served as president of the Nigeria Volleyball Federation, president of the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, and you are the current president of the Nigeria Olympic Committee. There is no way we can have you inside the arena without dabbling into some of the concerns of many Nigerians as it concerns sports. Some of the biggest names, you can recall, some of the biggest names we have had in the Nigerian sporting arena. We are products of school competitions, the likes of Mary Onyali, the likes of Innocent Ebunike, or Lapade Adenikon, even in football, Augustine Okocha, and many others. We are all products of school competitions. Now, I have 3 questions to ask you. Why are we no longer paying attention to such competitions? Number 2, just recently during I can't remember the competition, I think the Olympics, one of the Nigerians, one of the guys who represented Nigeria was seen, he did a video of himself washing his jersey, the same jersey for all throughout the competition until it went viral. And we have also had issues of athletes coming out to complain of lack of training facilities, non-payment of allowances. You know, why is that always the case? And we also had, there was a time, I think it was late Amodu Shuaibu, when he was sacked as the coach of the national team, because Nigerians were calling for the employment of a foreign technical advisor. And he also said that we should also employ foreign sports minister and foreign chairman of NFF. And he was sacked. Now, another area is, why is it that we don't believe in our local coaches? We have had many local coaches who have, done well in their capacities in many competitions, but still we don't believe in local coaches. So these 3 questions, can you address these questions?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me start from the issue of the school sport you are talking about. School sports is under the Federal Ministry of Education, not under the Ministry of Sports. I know grassroots development starts from the local government and the state government. Local government and state government, they are responsible for grassroots development. Unfortunately, it's not moving well. Because I remember when we were in the school, we do the inter-secondary school, inter-teachers. There's so many, now it is not there. But the school sport department is under the Federal Ministry of Education. And I believe if the local government and the state government can do it properly, that is the grassroots development. Because after their own grassroots development, these people now will rise up and come to the national level. That's when they are taken at the national level. And that's when they become stars, they become Commonwealth stars, Olympic stars, and so many other things like that. But unfortunately, grassroots development is not being done properly the way it's supposed to be done. Even though the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development now has a department of grassroots development, and they have zones that are liaising with the state government, local government, to ensure that this grassroots development is being done properly. And that's what is going on now. I believe very soon too, the collaboration that was there before between the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development and the Federal Ministry of Education need to be again, come back, so that this thing can continue and this type of development will continue. You are talking about the issue of the athletes. we have training facilities in this country, and we do local training for our athletes, and then we do the overseas one. Naturally, it is true, some facilities are available better in other parts of the world than the one we have, but we have them here. And we continue to do the development. Some part of the problem we're having, which you know more than myself, is the issue of maintenance of facilities. Maintenance culture is a big problem in Nigeria, which you know and I know. But at least the facilities are there and they're being maintained to a certain level. And now, for example, we are going for Commonwealth Games now. We have already selected centers where the athletes are going to train, where these facilities are already available. So we have the facilities to train. And the issue of the athlete, athlete sometimes, even if you give them their own entitlement, they'll continue to demand more. It's normal for them to continue complaining and other things like that. You cannot stop an athlete from complaining. It's very normal. But I believe the ministry, the officials are doing everything possible to make sure that the entitlement of the athlete is being paid. You see, it is not that we don't like our own local coaches. We like them. I give you an example. In 2008, when we went for the Olympic Games in China, Sia was our local coach. He's a Nigerian, and he was able to get us silver during the Olympic Games. He was to get even the gold. I call him Golden Coach alternate because it was just a small distance that made him not to get the gold for Nigeria that time. But we're able to get silver. So the Nigerian coaches too are doing their best. Sometimes they say get a local, a foreign coach, a technical coach, they call them. So that they can come and work together with our own local coaches so that they can learn experience from one another. But definitely, as at now, even we have many of our coaches, it's not just in football alone. We have 38 national federations on the ground. And each of the federations, they have their own coaches and their local coaches. It's mainly always in football, even that we used to go and bring a foreign coach. If you look at basketball, volleyball, judo, taekwondo, wrestling, and many of them, karate and all those things, they are all having local coaches. And we do go out there to go and get medals during the World Championship, or during the Commonwealth Game, or during the Olympic Game, and so on, or during the Nations Cup. So we cherish and we believe in our local coaches.
In one word, where do you see Nigerian sports in 20 years' time?
Well, it will go up there to the higher level that we wanted, because there's a lot of plan now on the ground, which is going to be implemented so that we can be able to continue to a higher level. Because what we want a situation where each of the national federations, wherever they go to represent Nigeria, they can be able to make Nigeria proud. Now we are going to Commonwealth Game. We are making all the necessary arrangements to go and get medals and come back and present it to the public. So it is going to be great in the next 20 years.
You know, I said your life has cut across different segments of our, from federal housing, from Bauchi, civil service to Federal Housing Authority to Ministry of Sports, and also to National Lottery Trust Fund. In just 1 minute, you served as Executive Secretary of the Trust Fund from 2009 to 17. Can you give us some insight into your tenure in office? Just in 1 minute.
Okay. First of all, when I took over as Executive Secretary of the National Lottery Trust Fund, I took over with 17 staff. After my 8 years, I left the National Lottery Trust Fund with 650 staff, from 17 to 650. And I did a lot of intervention in all the state of the Federation during that my period, which I'm sure all the state government were happy, both in terms of education, in terms of medical facilities, which is a great achievement.
Wow.
So that is,
wow, that's great, from 17 to 600 plus. That's awesome. Now let's go to where I know some engineers here will be waiting for us to take them to the to the society, talking about the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I would say you came to national limelight when you became the Secretary General. In fact, you were the last Secretary General of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. You served as Secretary General from 1991 to 1994. Interestingly, you took over from Engineer Otis Anyej, who handed over to you. You later became the 22nd president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and served from 2000 to 2001. And also, interestingly, Engineer Otis that handed over to you later also became the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, but he became the 30th president. You were 22nd, he was 30th. How did you make it so fast?
Thank you very much.
Can you share your journey through the ranks of the Nigerian Society of Engineers?
Well, thank you very much for this very important question. First of all, let me say, before I got registered into the Nigerian Society of Engineers, it was the handwork of the late I.K. Inwa. May God Almighty forgive his sins. It's late now. He was instrumental to me joining the Nigerian Society of Engineers at that time, because not only me, many of our colleagues in the northern part of this country. Now, when I joined, I was lucky. I contested an election and became the Assistant Secretary of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. At that time, I.K. Inwa was the president, late, may God forgive him. And then there was Zebu was the treasurer, and the engineer, President Otis, was the Secretary General. So I served under Otis. He was my boss at that time as Assistant Secretary General. Then as the journey continues, again, after Engineer Otis left, I became the Secretary General of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and I became the last Secretary General of the Nigerian Society of Engineers because the act administration will change while in our conference in Benin. And then from there, they decided that it would be Executive Secretary, no more Secretary General. After that, we continue with the journey. I became a vice president. And when I became the vice president, I know I wanted to contest for vice president. I remember I contested in Kaduna, but I lost. I couldn't make it. And then next time again, when I wanted to contest for the vice, I contested again, I became vice president. And then in Ikeja, that was where the three of us, myself, Uzebu, and this other gentleman, my friend from Enugu, we contested the position of the deputy president of the society. At that time, it was very interesting. I was not all that, I was reluctant even to continue. I wanted to withdraw at that time during the election because there was a lot of pressure. You have to withdraw. Uzebu is interested, this man is interested, and so on. But I had Chief Alabi, late, the chairman of Guinness. May God forgive me, then late Alabi, and then Olorofomi. The two of them, President Olorofomi, the two of them were they were my campaign managers. They were putting pressure on me that I have to continue, I have to do this. On one side, people will go and put pressure on late I.K. Inwa that talk to Engineer going to withdraw. On the other side, the other group say, no, don't withdraw, continue. This is how the journey continued. And I was lucky, I was elected in Ikeja as the deputy president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. And then automatically in 2000, I became the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. I took over from my boss, Charles Mbanafo, President Charles Mbanafo. So while I was the president of the society, during my tour of the states, No, before then, before even I became the president, in Enugu, there was some problem during the conference that made Engineer Ozi to exit the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and decided he was no more together with the society again. So during my presidency, I was in Wari on tour. So during the tour, now I asked, where is President Otis? And they told me he's around, he's in town, but he does not relate with the branch, he does not relate with the society, but he's at home. So a dinner was hosted for me in Wari. So I told the president of the society that before we go to the chairman of the branch, before we go to the venue of the dinner, I want to meet him. He should take me to the house of Engineer Otis. We went to the house of Engineer Otis. We met him together with his family. Oh, for the very nice listen. Because I met my boss in his house. So we cracked jokes. We were together. We laugh and all this. So I told him I'm here on tour and there's a dinner for me. Dress up. You and your wife were going for that dinner. He said, what? I say, yeah, you are going to that dinner together with me. And that's how I was able to bring Engineer Otis to that dinner place. I made him he made a speech. And from there, I told everybody that Engineer Otis is now back in the Nigerian Society of Engineers as one of the strong members of the society. So I'm happy that I was able to bring back my boss back to the society at that time when I joined my tour in Wari. That's how we are together. You know, it's always good to help your boss. It's always good to work with your boss.
As you are saying this, one thing that came to my mind is this. You know, you did mention one young man that played a very significant role towards your election in Ikeja 1997. And you mentioned that young man was Engineer Olorufemi, and I'm very sure that the Engineer Olorufemi is the Engineer Ademola Isaac Olorufemi, the 29th president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers we are talking about.
Exactly, yes.
And now the same Engineer Olorufemi who played that role towards your election was the one who also handed over to Engineer Otis as the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. And I don't think it's just a mere coincidence that two people that you took over from Engineer Otis, and you also were instrumental in his returning back to the society, and he took over from your boy, the man who fought so hard to ensure that you became the president of the society. And by divine arrangement, two of them also became presidents of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Another thing people always say, which you have demonstrated, is that you have the Midas touch when it comes to bringing people together or resolving issues or problems. And that is what you have displayed. Now, let me ask you, there is always this question. They say failure is an orphan and success has many fathers. Many have said that you are a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Abuja branch. And I know those from Jigawa will be also claiming that you are their member or Duse branch. Now, let me put it to you. What branch do you belong to?
Which branch do I belong to?
Which branch of the Nigerian Society of Engineers? Because in the Abuja branch register, we always call your name. In fact, it's there written boldly as a member of the branch. And I know the chairman of the branch, Engineer Abi Abdul Malik, has joined us. So we want to put that straight on record. Which branch?
It is true I'm a member of Abuja branch, no doubt about it. And again, by extension, I'm a member of the Duse branch in Jigawa State, by extension.
Not by extension, you are primary branch, sir. We want to put that to rest. You are primary branch. Okay, when you were president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, which branch was your branch?
Well, I have always been in Abuja branch.
Fantastic.
Even before establishment of the Dusi branch. The Dusi branch.
Thank you very much, sir. I know the chairman of Abuja branch will be happy because, you know, Abuja branch has always boasted that they are produced 4 presidents of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. And just recently, the current president of the society, engineer TSG Wudil, announced officially that he has moved his membership to Abuja branch, that is a member, a bona fide member of Abuja branch. So it's now on record that Abuja has 5 presidents: Engineer Charles Sani Wetam Banefo, Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali, you yourself, Engineer AHMED GUMEL, Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali, Engineer Mokwolu, and the last, not the least, Engineer Tasu Sahab Gedarudi. I pray that you are one of your boys, maybe possibly Engineer Ademola Isaac Olorunfemi will also join you in Abuja branch to add up to the number. Now let's go to the next question. Many have this belief, many people have this belief that since over 70% of our capital expenditure is spent on engineering projects, and that there are a lot of corrupt activities going on in the sector. In fact, to buttress this point, as president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, you championed a campaign against corruption in engineering projects. There was a book publication. On that. Exactly. Why was your focus, or why was the focus of your administration as president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers on corruption in engineering projects?
Well, at that time, my ambition and the ambition of all my ESCO members were to put things right in the country. Because like what you precisely said, a lot of money is being put for the engineering development. But unfortunately, because of the corruption, the breaking of the rules and the regulations, the laws are not being put properly, and the jobs are not being done the way it's supposed to be done. We look at it critically and say, look, there is a lot of corruption in this practice, and there is a need for us, for the FNSE at that time, to tackle the issue of this corruption, to see how we can be able to reduce it or even stop it. To stop it may be very difficult, but you can be able to drastically reduce it, so that a lot of work can be achieved in engineering. And it is so important. And that was the reason why I took that one as a challenge. I produced that book, which can be distributed to all our members, so that people can read it, not even our members, even to the general public, for them to know that corruption is no good in our society and is no good in our engineering practice. If money is being earmarked for it, it should go precisely and exactly for that purpose. It should not be diverted for anything. And shady jobs should not be done. Quacks should not even be allowed to move into the engineering this, because there are many quacks around. That's why you have this collapse of building, collapse of infrastructure, and so many other things. And you know, we have a lot of problems even in maintenance. The maintenance culture is not there. So we have to establish so many things to ensure that this corruption is drastically reduced, so that we can be able to move forward. You go to many other countries, you can see. Go to Singapore and so many other countries, you see their infrastructures. And we're all here, we're all Nigerian engineers, and it's our duty to push, it's our duty to lobby both the executive, both the legislators, to ensure that enough money is given, and not just enough money is given, but to ensure that the money is being utilized in the right direction and being used for that purpose, to avoid any corruption issues in the implementation of the project.
Wow. Now, you know, when we are preparing for this program, the notice or the notification I sent out was that lightning, they say, does not strike twice. But when it strikes more than 3 times in the lifetime of a man, what then do we call it? And the people were anxious to know what lightning were we talking about. Now, what we're actually talking about is that if one has been a president on 5 occasions, do we say is a coincidence? Can we say that you were born to be a president? Because you have been everywhere you go, you become a president. What is the secret behind that? You have been president of the Volleyball Federation of Nigeria. You have also been president of the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa. You have been president of the Nigeria Olympic Committee. You have been president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and you have been president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria. And if I have to go through your profile, you have been also president in one committee of the International Olympic Committee. One will say that you were born to be a president. What is the secret behind that?
Well, let me first of all thank God Almighty for all this achievement. I believe one of it is my luck, and the other issue is my interest and my passion, both in engineering and sport development. I have a lot of interest and passion in it. And that was the reason why, not only being the president, I rose to become a member of International Olympic Committee. And in the whole International Olympic Committee, I only have 100 members for the whole world. And in Africa, there are no more than 17 out of the 54 countries. And it happened that I'm one of them. And this membership of the IOC International Olympic Committee is for life, unless until you commit any offense, for life. And I was so lucky that in the engineering profession, things continue moving smoothly since I joined the society. That's what made me, because of my interest, because of my hard work, I believe, that I became the president of the society and that of Koran. And when you come into the sport, I had a lot of interest, a lot of passion in the sport development. That, if you notice, I started as an ordinary member of the Nigerian Volleyball Federation and continued climbing to second vice president, first vice president, to the president, to the treasurer general of the NOC, even to the president of the NOC itself. And then from there, I became the president of all the other organizations you mentioned. It is the interest and the hard work. And people saw it in me, and that was the reason why people were giving me all the necessary support, because every position you go is by election. And it is the people who normally do the election. And unless until they are sure you can perform, unless until you are sure you are the right person, and unless they are sure you can achieve when you are on that seat, they will not be able to vote for you. And I am so lucky that people recognize my hard work, people recognize my interest, people recognize my passion, and that's why I continue climbing. I became president in many different parts of my life.
Wow.
Which I'm grateful to God Almighty.
Wow, interest, commitment, and hard work. Now let's just pause now. And for those who are joining us, who are just joining us, we have inside the arena a very distinguished engineer. One, I said, who has distinguished himself in every sphere of human endeavor, has left lasting impressions in the annals of history as far as what is called the verdict of history is concerned in this country and globally. He is a recipient of the National Honor of Officer Order of the Niger. I don't need to say, I'll just mention it, 5-time president of very big organizations. And he has made his mark in the Nigerian civil service. He made his mark in the Nigerian civil service and in other areas where he called shot as the head of those organizations. He is Engineer HABU, engineer doctor. I don't know why you don't always add that, because you have an honorary doctorate degree and you always silent on that. So I have to bring it out now. Engineer doctor HABU AHMED, GUMEL, FNSE, FAEng, OON. And we have today also, as part of the program, we have prizes that at least 3 participants will be going home with. The first prize is a refrigerator, and the second one is a Tamaku. The first one is Hisense refrigerator. The second one is a Tamaku gas cooker, and we have a beautiful laptop bag. And the sponsor of these beautiful gifts is also another admirer of Engineer HABU AHMED GUMEL, past chairman, Nigerian Site of Engineers, Asaba branch, Engineer Bemigo. I know he has joined us today. I thought I saw him online. Engineer Bemigo is the sponsor of today's prizes. And very shortly, we are going to be rounding off, and somebody or 3 people are going to go home with these beautiful prizes. Still inside the arena is Engineer Dr. GUMEL. Now let us go straight to the next question. You were president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, and we have mentioned your achievements. When you were president of the NSC, we have also cut across other areas where you were president. Now we come to current. Can you give us some insights to your leadership as president of current and the legacies you left in office as president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria? And I'm very sure that the current president of current, Engineer AHMED, is with us. Let me be sure. Yes, I have seen the current president of current is with us, and I've also seen the vice president of current and past president of current, Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali. So the current family are all inside the arena with you. So you can go on, sir.
Well, you know, current is a regulatory body, of course. Know that everybody knows. They are established to regulate the engineering practice. And during my tenure, that's what we try to make sure that, one, to increase the number of registered engineers in Nigeria that can practice, because it's very important. Without the current registration, you are not allowed to practice. And during my tenure, in collaboration with the Nigerian Society of Engineers, that we work hand in hand, we ensure we increase the number of membership in the Nigerian Society of Engineers and the number of the registered engineers that can be able to practice in this country by registration of current. That's number one. Number two, you know, in this country, there are so many people called quacks. There are many all over the country. And during that, my period, during that time, we try as much as possible to reduce drastically the number of quacks. A lot of regulation was done to ensure these quacks are not there. Because these quacks, they are the people helping building to collapse, because they are not registered, they don't know the rules and the regulations. Because in many occasions, when building collapse, by the time you go and check, you will find out the design, even the so everybody, none of them is registered with current. So we did a lot in terms of this rules and the regulation to flush out the quacks from our society. One thing that I did when I took over as the current president, we had our office in the area of Guadalajara. And it was a small office, of course. And then I tried as much as possible. Not only that, we bought another small house there in Guadalajara. And not only that, I was succeeded in buying the two existing buildings that exist now at the Korea headquarters, where the Korea is now sitting and where the Korea is now operating. So I'm happy. That is a very important legacy that I did by pursuing to ensure we bought those two houses, which is now helping the Korea to do everything they can to regulate in this country. And not only that, even we left behind a big land, which were with the fence, so that the Quran, if they're able to get money or any developer, they can be able to develop that land. So this one is a great achievement. And I'm happy to say that before I left, we had a lot of our members that were able to get registered with Quran so that they can be able to practice the engineering practice. And throughout my tenure, we had a very excellent cordial relationship with the Nigerian Society of Engineers.
Wow, that was a landmark achievement, and that is also in line with what you are known for, leaving great legacies. Now let's go to another area, which I think you have been running away from that, but today we are going to be mentioning it publicly. It has been rumored that you were once offered the governorship of your state, but you rejected it. Is it true?
Well, it's not that I rejected it, but I believe in destiny. It's not that I rejected it. This issue of my governorship started even as far back as during the regime of late Abacha. Because I remember at that time, late General GUMEL, he was Minister of Transport during Abacha. And at that time, late Abacha wanted to succeed himself. And I was told that I have to go to Jigawa to go and take over from Colonel Shikoni, was administrator at that time, to contest for the governorship. I was persuaded to go and do it. There were several meetings. And unfortunately, for one reason or other, but before even I made up my mind, later Bashar died. So after he died, the political situation was out of the question, even the constitution and so many other things. Even in 1999, people were pursuing me that I have to go and be the governor of Jigawa State. I have to go and be the governor of Jigawa State. I remember the first governor, Simon Tiraki, was in my house at 11 Ghana Street. He met me with late Galadima of Kanole and asked me that please, I should allow him to go and contest the governorship. I should go and do senatorship. And I told him to go ahead and contest. And that's how he became. And then even during when Baba Obasanjo was the president, because I got to know Baba Obasanjo when I was doing NYC in Bauchi in Yankari Game Reserve in 1976. That's how I met Baba Obasanjo. He was military head of state, which after now we became a close with him. And when he was the president at the end of his tenure, of course, he invited me to go and pick a form and be the governor of Jigawa State. But for one reason or the other, unfortunately, it did not work out. So I said, even now at this 2003, I have been receiving so many calls from my state. Go and pick form, go and pick form. I have not made up my mind.
What are you waiting for, sir?
I'm waiting for people like you to contribute.
we are going to seriously look into that, and because you still have the strength and energy to contribute quota to the development of the country. But at present, are you a member of any political party?
Well, I believe it's destiny. Whatever will be. I'm waiting. When it is my time, I believe it will come. It was just like the previous appointment that I was getting, and now we are waiting for this political situation. We are still looking into it.
Are you a member of any political party?
Well, I can say I'm a member of a political party per se, but you know, in Nigeria, you can be here today, tomorrow you can be here. But I'm a member, of course.
Where are you now? For now, where are you?
Well, as at now, I'm in the APC.
Okay.
As at now, yes.
Wonderful. Okay, that's good. Now, as we wind up the program, what do you like to do, or what do you do at your free time?
Well, at my free time, first of all, I like traveling because I'm used to it. I travel a lot. I travel worldwide. I believe I travel to not less than 100 countries in the world. I travel a lot. And I read a lot. I read a lot because of my movement and other things like that. So it is something that, and I'm always travel. When I'm traveling, I was traveling always with my late wife. Now I cannot travel with her, but I always encourage my children when I'm traveling. Sometimes I travel with them. So they do that. It's an experience in life for you to go and see the other world. But when you remain in your country, only within your country, you don't go out there, you will not know a lot of things. But you go to many countries, you see different tribe, different culture, different scenario, what God has put in so many different countries, which are not the same like your business. So it's a very interesting. I hardly rest. I do rest, of course, sometimes when I travel outside the country. And I'm the hobby of meeting people. People always come to me and I see people. Because people, human beings are the richness of every human being. It's not just the money issue, but people, you need people. You need connection. You have to know people. People should know you. And you should be able to help people. Anything that you can do to help. Any position that God has given you and you are in that place, as long as it will not tarnish your image or spoil your job, help those particular people. Because it is only on this earth you can be able to help your fellow colleague as a human being. In the other world, everybody will be fighting for himself.
Wow. More than 100 countries. I think you have really crisscrossed the entire world, and is in line with just what the assertion you are trying to make is in line. There's an Igbo adage that says that a traveler, he who travels a lot, is always much exposed or wiser than he that has a gray hair. So I believe it may be a common adage in other parts of the country. And we pray that God will continue to give you the strength to undertake these assignments he has given to you. Now, what is your hope? What is their hope? Let me put it that way. Is there hope for the Nigerian youth? And what is your advice for the youth of Nigeria? Is there hope? Do you think there is still hope for the Nigerian youth?
Well, there is a lot of hope for them. They have to work hard. They have to unite together. They have to be responsible, not to be involved in so many activities that are no good for the country. They have to do something positive, not negative. And for us, for the government again to try and establish a good environmental situation for them, job creation and so many other things, so that they can be able to work. And now many of them are joining politics, which is very good. It is very good because gradually, they're the ones that will take over. And it is very important for them. So there is a great hope for youth. There's a great future for the youth. But what I said, they have to work hard and they have to be responsible.
Okay, fine. Before I ask you the final question, have you had any major setback in your life, and how were you able to overcome?
Well, the only thing I have now, I thank God Almighty that throughout my career in the school and throughout my working career, I had no serious problem per se. Because even the NYC I did it in a very excellent way. I had no problem at all. The life continued with me without any problem with my family. The only setback I have is the death of my late wife. May Allah forgive her. But that one with my children, we're happy now. We're overcoming it. Though it's not easy to forget, but at least we're doing everything possible to make sure that my children are happy, and I'm happy because life continues. We're all waiting for our time. We're only when the time comes. But that is the only the setback that I have for now.
Okay, my final question for you today is this. In 1985, late Sonny Okosu released a song, Which Way Nigeria and Which Way to Go. 37 years after, we are still asking the same question. As a national statesman, where did we get it wrong? And which way should we go?
Well, I believe we should all join hands together to move to the right direction. To move in the right direction, that is, by doing the right thing, establishing the proper thing in terms of all the facility, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of all the other things that is needed to develop a country. Because God Almighty has blessed this country with all the resources you can think of. It is just a matter of us to try our best to believe in this country, that this is the only country we have, and this is the only country we believe, and try to do the right thing to help this country, so that we can be able, all of us, to live, each and every one of us can be able to leave a lasting legacy, so that the future that are coming, they can be able to take over, they can be able to remember us, they can be able to put on top of what we people have achieved.
Wow, the way to go, do the right thing and go to the right direction. Exactly. Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. HABU AHMED GUMEL, past president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, past president of COREN, president of the Nigerian Olympic Committee, and former executive secretary of the National Lottery Trust Fund. Thank you for being inside the arena. It's been a wonderful time with you. We've come to the end of the first segment of this program, and that is the direct free kick segment. I can see some chats already coming in. People are eager to ask you questions. We are going to go to the corner kick, and we have our rules. If you have a question to ask or comments, you click on the raise hand button, and we ask you to unmute yourself. You unmute, and you will be allowed to ask your question. And also, we have an exception, because we always try to make sure that once a guest is inside the arena, he is also protected. So if anyone throws any question to the guest that we consider to be inappropriate or beyond the bounds of propriety, we can flag the question as a yellow card, and then with that, the host or the guest, is exempted from answering the question. Now we have Engineer Kamela Maliki. He has raised his hand. Can we allow Engineer Kamela Maliki to, please, can you unmute your mic and go straight to your question?
Yeah, thank you. Good day, my very, very referred president.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm talking with you from Saudi Arabia.
Okay, congratulations.
Yes, sir. There was a question. I want to build up on a question that was raised with Engineer Mrs. Ebele. Okay. When Ben O.C. asked her why it took Nigerian Society of Engineers close to 58 years before we got the first female deputy president. As a gladiator and also a stakeholder and also a very, very active participant, and particularly with reference to 2002 election, why did it take us so long to get a woman as deputy president? Please, can you give us an insight?
Okay, we take two more questions so that the guests can respond to the three, and then we allow others. Benny Okeke, unmute your mic. You can go on.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Engineer GUMEL, for the wonderful presentation. My name is Benny Okeke, the publisher of Benny Okeke's blog, formerly with Leadership Newspaper Abuja. So I'm actually a journalist. So I have a very few questions for you. Based on your presentation, I want you to just tell us what is responsible for grassroots sports development. And back to the housing sector. If you go around, since you're privy to be one of the, foremost managers and staff of FHA, if you tour around the FHA, especially the Lube axis and Kubwa areas and other ones, you find out that that place is stunted with substandard structures. I don't know what is responsible for that. Thank you, sir.
Then finally, we take, for those who have raised their hands, we take Engineer Charity. Engineer Charity, can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Okay. Good evening, Engineer Ben. Good evening, our distinguished engineer, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in the arena today. Mary, looking at you, you're still very, very much young at heart. And I'm so confident, and I'm so confident that you have a lot that you still give to us. Before you join your wife, you adore her so much. That is the part that is attracting me, the way you adore her. I'm so excited. Thank you, sir. Having said that, I have two questions, sir. The first question, you were the executive secretary of National Lottery Transform. And during your 2 terms, 8 years, from what you said, the fund you people raised, you used as interventions for equipping schools in the 36 states of the Federation, equipping them with sporting equipment. And you also extended your hand to hospitals. Now, my question is, as an elder statesman, are you aware of what is happening with National Lottery Transform? Is there, I'm sure they will be willing to get advice from you. So can you help us to advise them to know how they can restore sports in our schools? Because like the moderator was talking about, most of these experts in sports, they were built up from the schools, but you see that there are no interventions going to the schools. What do you think we can do to restore will I call it the ancient landmark? That's my first question. Then my second question, as a former executive director of Federal Housing Authority, you were involved in the housing program that started with Kubwa, Asokoro, Gwarimpa 2, and the rest of them. And when you were asked about what you think about the accommodation being one of the primary things that we need, you said that the government and the private sector need to invest more in housing program. Permit me to disagree a little with you, sir. I am looking at the country, especially Abuja, from the angle that if you move around Abuja, you see there are so many buildings here and there, but they are not being occupied. Is it possible that our government will put will I call it a charge or a fine on all the unoccupied structures? Because most of these structures are unoccupied because their rates are very, very high. Many people are living in junk because they cannot afford it. Why these houses are dilapidating? Is it possible that our government will put a fine? If you have a house and it's not being occupied, you will pay a fine on it and still be the owner. With that, I'm sure that the cost of housing will reduce and most of these buildings will be occupied. These are my two questions. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you. We return back to our guests to respond to these questions. Then we take the final lap of the questions and call it a day.
Thank you very much. Well, I have many questions to answer, but I will try my best to answer each and every questions. The issue of I'm happy to see that at least now we have a deputy president, a female. And Camila was asking that for a long time, for so many years, this is the first time. You know, the issue of being the president or deputy president is an issue of election. People are being elected. And unfortunately, over the years, those females that contested for the election, they were not lucky to win the election. But this time around, one of them is lucky to win the election. And that's what the situation is. It is not that people didn't want female to be president or deputy president, but you know it's an issue of election. And the election is a game of number. And that's exactly what happened. But I'm happy to say that now we have started getting a deputy president, and eventually is going to be the president, and then the journey continues. Now, the issue of the National Lottery Trust Fund, the intervention that I left behind, the people I left behind, they are doing their best. They are doing a lot of intervention. But let me just let you know one thing. The money that the people that are in charge of the lottery that are supposed to release the money is coming in trickles. It's not, there is now a law that is going to be put in place for them to be paying the correct amount of money. Because the money is not good enough to take care of all the items I mentioned that is provided in the Act. But the people I left behind, they are doing their best. They are still carrying out intervention in schools. They are still carrying out intervention in hospitals, in other areas. And once in a while, we do interact with them, I advise them, and they're taking the advice, they're doing their best. And I believe what they're doing is good enough for now, and they will only need to improve upon what they're doing, but they're doing their best. Now, the issue of the housing estate. You know that what is called development control, that you must have a development control in every housing estate to make sure that there is a proper control for any housing estate. And some of those controls in some estates may be lacking because there's a lot to be done. You made mention, like what you said, there are so many, my sister said there are so many housing estates that are, houses that are abandoned, that are not being occupied because of the high rate. And that is the reason why I said both the private sector and the government should come together. The government is supposed to provide mass housing, which is a subsidized one, which people now can be able to afford, can be able to take. The private sector, they are providing these houses, they are so costly that many people cannot afford. And if you notice even now, some people that even have their own houses inside the city, they do sell them and they go to satellite towns. They go to Kubwa, they go to Gwagwalada, they go to so many other and buy another smaller houses. So the mass housing is very, very important. It is key. If we have enough of this mass housing, many people can be able to get shelter. And if the mass housing are provided and the people are buying and they are going to the mass housing, maybe that will make the private sector to come down, because they cannot continue with building houses when people are not occupying them. Then which means they have to try and bring their prices down, because the cost of the housing is so high and the cost of the house, the rent is very high. But you should take, this problem is just not for Abuja only. The other states need to they need this type of housing estate. The state government too should provide this particular mass housing in their own state, so that they can be able to help the masses, the civil servant, and everybody. So I agree with you about the houses that are abandoned and occupied because of the high rate. But I believe by the time you start providing this mass housing and people are taking it, then those private sector, naturally they have to receive and start to bring down their own pricing or to start to modify the type of design they are going to provide so it can be affordable to the people. Now, can you remind me about some of the questions? I think I have taken. Yes. Okay, you are talking about the grassroots. The grassroots development, like what I said earlier on, grassroots development is a responsibility of local government and state government, and then to develop grassroots in conjunction of the school sports, which I say under the Federal Ministry of Education. It's after the development of the grassroots, then the athlete will come up and then become at the national level, and then they join, and then before they go to the international. So now the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development is trying their best. They established a department of grassroots, and they are now liaising. They have established zonal offices, and they are liaising with the state, and they are liaising with the Federal Ministry of Education. So that those issues of what happened in those days during our time, some of it must be restored. Because this inter-secondary school, colleges is very important. So that it is from there now people who can develop, because if you go to many countries, you see small children learning what swimming is about. For example, in Nigeria now here, swimming has a lot of medals when it comes to Olympic Games, but we don't have many of them that are good enough in this. You talk of shooting, so many other places. So I believe grassroots development is key and is very important.
I think that is.
Yeah, I think those are the summary of what.
That is all. Let me take Comfort and Christian Ofort. Christian Ofort, quickly ask your question. Then Christian Ofort. Unmute your mic. I've asked you to unmute. You just click on the microphone button and then you talk. I think he's finding it difficult to. Christian Ufo. Okay. I think that is all all for now. I thought I saw Engineer Olorunfemi's hand before. Okay, Christian, can you go on?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Mine is not a question, but let me say I want to thank the past president, H.A. GUMEL, FNSE. I read from our branch, that is the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Apapa branch, that the branch was inaugurated by him during his presidency in 2001. And I have been longing to meet him. So immediately I saw this event within the arena, I said I must attend for me to listen to this president who inaugurated the branch that today I am the chairman. Last year, 2021, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the branch. So we are always remembering the president that inaugurated the 44th branch of NSA. And on behalf of the branch, I'm saying thank you very much, sir, that you inaugurated our branch and we are still moving on. Thank you, sir. We wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much. Well done.
Sir.
Well done for remembering me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman Apapa Branch. Engineer Ademola Isaac Olorunfemi. Can you unmute, sir?
My president, sorry, he's on mute.
Go on, sir.
I'm on mute. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Thank you
you.
very much. Defer to our guest, my Oga and boss. Thank you so much. I'm honored for those. General Falabi and all of us following him. We did what we did because we know you are a worthy person, humble, the people's person, taking everybody along, and very kind. So we did all of that because of what God has blessed. And we also like the good works and the support always. You've always been a rallying point. For me, I'm particularly honored to be so recognized. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the comment.
Before we wrap it up, Mr. President, sir, you know, we have, you left office as current president, and we have two presidents of Korean here. I think I will bring them on to show solidarity to you for coming inside the arena today. And then we go to the extra time segment. Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali is online, and I can also see the president of Korean, Engineer AHMED. They are online. I think I will allow Engineer Ali to speak first, then we bring on Engineer Rabiu.
So they are coming into the arena?
Yes, they are already inside the arena.
Okay.
But we are inside the arena. Okay, I think I've seen Engineer Ali. Okay.
Thank you very much for invitation to speak. I'm honored to have known Engineer GUMEL and his legacies right from FNSE have been something that I'm closely associated with, and I'm proud of him. I know that he has spoken forthrightly here at this arena, and the younger people have so much to learn from what he has said. So I wish also they will learn. And I wish Engineer GUMEL the best of this world and the best of the hereafter. Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate the comment.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kashim Abdul Ali. And I will now invite the president of Korean, Engineer AHMED.
Well, thank you very much. We've been longing for this particular episode of Inside the Arena. I'm happy that our Oga, our boss, Engineer GUMEL, has finally agreed to be inside the arena. Let me say that I was actually instrumental to his coming into the arena. On so many occasions, he tried to dodge, but this one, he said, no, sir, you cannot dodge anymore. So you have to be here to share your experiences with those of us who are young, who are much younger engineers, and of course, those who are also younger than us. I'm sorry I joined a bit late, but I came in when he was talking about the Gwarimpa project, and it's been quite, insightful. Many of the things he said, I already know because I'm one of his boys. And each time I go to his house, we're always talking about FNSE, Korean, and the engineering profession. I'd like to congratulate you, sir, for finally agreeing to be in the arena. As you move out of the arena, we'll join you to move out peacefully and hope that next time you will be an active participant, not as an interviewee, but as a participant like some of us who've been there before. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. the last but not the least, we have asked so many questions about the female engineers. I think Engineer Margaret Oguntala is here. Just a 1 minute, Ma. You send your felicitation to our guests, and then we will wrap it. Okay, I can also see Engineer Idiat Amusu. I think two of them will just make 1 minute comments so that we can wrap it up for today. Engineer Idiat Amusu and also Engineer Margaret Oguntala. Go on, ma.
I'd like to defer. Okay, I'd like to defer to Engineer Idiat Amusu, please. Let her speak first.
Okay. Engineer Idiat Amusu. Can you unmute your mic, ma?
Okay.
Oh, all right, thank you, ma.
With due respect to everybody on the platform, I must say that this is a pleasing occasion to speak with one of the presidents that I least understand. And today I can fill in the gaps with all the wonderful things that he has filled me in in the course of his discussion. For instance, I found it very difficult along the line to marry an engineer with sports and actively playing the role there. But today I understand better. I think there's a good line, a sign of good leader in the community of the professionals. And I believe that we have all learned one or two lessons from this. Engineer GUMEL, thank you for sharing your wonderful experiences with us. And I believe that is a beacon to all of us as we move on the journey of life. Congratulations once again. Don't forget the politics though. Don't forget the politics though. We want you there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, ma. And finally, Engineer Margaret Oguntala.
Okay, good afternoon, my elders here, particularly the guest of today, the man in the arena. This is one event I've looked forward to, particularly because I consider myself one of his girls, from way back in Ikeja, particularly Ikeja 97. And I would just like to congratulate you, sir, for having kept the faith. You are one of the most revered presidents of FNSE. And you have this very cool, calm mien, and one wonders too, that how does this man do what he does? And you do so much to also mentor us. Thank you very much, sir, for the insight into your life. And I wish you many more fruitful years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma. I think with that, we have come to the end of the corner kick segment of this program. We are now going to go straight to the final segment, which is the extra time. I mentioned 2 or 3 times that we have beautiful gift today. I can't lift the fridge because it's heavy. The one I can handle, this one is the Tamaku gas cooker, and we have the Hisense fridge, and we have this beautiful, very beautiful laptop bag. All these prizes are courtesy of Engineer Bemio or Foyeno. That's the past chairman of FNSE Asaba branch, who is a very big fan of Engineer HABU, AHMED GUMEL. The last time I called him, I think he was offline. I think Bemigo is back. So in the course of the program, before we end, we will allow you to show your face so that the participants will see your face. Very, very committed and hardworking engineer. Now, the question for today goes this way. But before I ask the question, let me set the record, the rules. If you send the answer to the question before I finish asking the question, you will be disqualified. You will allow, once I finish asking the question and I say, go, you can start sending in your answers. Now, the another rule is this: the question we are going to ask, no abbreviation. We are going to send your answer in full, no abbreviation. We want your answer in full. Now, the question is this: Engineer GUMEL left the services of the Bauchi State Civil Service in 1985 to join the Federal Housing Authority as what? The rank, the position he joined the FHA as. The question cannot be sent. His first position at FHA. His first position at FHA. Okay, questions. I think the answers are coming in. I can see many people have already sent in their. Before we look at, sir, you have to confirm the answer first. What is the answer of the question? Then we look at the people that have sent in the correct answers. Your first position in FHA, what was your rank or your position in FHA?
I was Deputy General Manager, Engineering Services.
Just the first one is what we leave the engineering services. Deputy
General Manager.
General Manager. Fantastic. Deputy General Manager is the correct answer. We now go to the chat box to look at the first 3 people to get the answer correctly. The first is, wow. Again, Engineer OAU Uche got the first one correctly. We have the next is Flourish, Engineer Flourish, Deputy General Manager. And the third is Taiwo Keinde, Deputy General Manager. I think these 3 were the first to send in the correct answer. We have other people that got the answer correctly, but the first 3, I hope we have to confirm that also to make sure that I didn't skip anybody. The first I can see from here is Engineer OAU Uche, followed by Engineer Flourish, and the third is Engineer Taiwo, Keinde Taiwo. So please, Engineer OAU Uche, while we are waiting, I think I can see Engineer Bemio. Engineer Bemio, can you say hi to us so that we can see your face? Unmute, you have to unmute your mic.
Hi to everyone. I'm grateful to, it's a privilege for me to be here. I am grateful to FNSE. You know, GUMEL is one person I love so much, and it's a privilege for me to be the sponsor of this event. I really appreciate my president, Dr. GUMEL. It's a privilege to know you. When you were there, I was still small, but I had a lot of stories about you, and those stories are very amazing. I want to appreciate you, and I want to also appeal that you join the politics so that we have people like you in the politics to become our president. We need people like you to become the president of this country. You know, when you become the president of this country, I know this country will be like Dubai. So I want to appreciate you, sir, and it's a privilege. I'm so honored to be the sponsor of this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That's wonderful, Engineer Bemigo. Thank you once again for sponsoring this program. Quickly, Engineer OAU, we are trying to locate you so that I can show us your face. Wow, I saw Engineer Nkechi Sigwe. I didn't know she was inside the arena when I was calling our ladies to talk. I think I will allow her to say hi while we are waiting for Engineer Uche. Engineer Nkechi Sigwe, one of our foremost female engineers. Engineer Kechisigwe, please, can you unmute your mic and say hi to Engineer GUMEL, please? Sorry about that. I didn't know you were inside the arena. Engineer Isigwe. While we are waiting for her to unmute, Engineer Uche, congratulations once again. We are the winner of our star prize, I think. Are you still in Ota? Okay.
Yes, I want to thank the Inside Arena. I'm becoming a veteran now, but the first of all, I want to say to our distinguished guests and our leader, one of our most revered leader in the FNSE, in Korea, Engineer AHMED GUMEL, FNSE, OON. I want to say Ramadan Kareem, sir.
Thank you very much.
I want to say that we in Kano, we hold you high. From the university to Kano branch, Kabuga branch, we continue to hold you high. You are our leader. And may God continue to keep you alive to do more for us.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations, sir. And to Flourish, can we see your face? Engineer Flourish, this winner of the second prize. That's the gas, the gas cooker. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you,
Engineer
very much.
Flourish.
Thank you.
And the final person, Engineer Taiwo Keinde. Wow, two women. Wow, interesting. Congratulations to you. And
thank you.
Please, by next week, or you can call me even during the holiday, on Monday or on Tuesday, you can call me. I think I may be in the office one of those 2 days so that you can come and pick up your prizes. Thank you very much and congratulations to the winners. And I want to sincerely thank all the participants who have joined us today inside the arena. I want to sincerely thank our guests, our father in the profession, a very distinguished Nigerian, a very distinguished engineer, a very distinguished sportsman, Engineer Dr. HABU AHMED GUMEL, for joining us inside the arena. As the president of Koren said, it was not easy to bring you inside the arena because we are always on the move. As you said, you have been to more than 100 countries. I know that almost every week you are always traveling. So getting you inside the arena was a difficult thing, but we thank God that we were able to have you inside the arena. I want to sincerely congratulate you also for the award, national honor, which has been, which you have been nominated for a national honor by the government of Japan, by the special grace of God.
Emperor of Japan.
By the Emperor of Japan. Anytime is going to be conferred to you, by the grace of the Almighty God, inshallah, we are going to be there to support you and to celebrate with you. I want to thank all of us for being part of today's program. I remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. Oko. Have a wonderful evening. And to our Muslim brothers, we say Baraka de Salah. And to all the Nigerian workers, we say Aluta, Continua, Victoria, Aseta. See you next time inside the arena, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much to everybody who participated. May God Almighty bless each and every one of us. Amen. I highly appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.